Nick's Garage is supported by Atlas Equipment and K-Tool International.
Hi, I'm Nick, and welcome to my shop. Today we've got Paul with us with the Korean War Jeep. So Paul, what did you bring us here?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Nick and the staff at Nick's Garage. Of course, that means Nick, Mandy, Robert, and George, the video specialist. This is a 1952 Willys M38 CDN. CDN Canadian. It was built by Ford Motor Company of Canada, 1952. Well, last year, I had the honor, the privilege of being able to purchase this vehicle from a private collector. And I promised to maintain it and take care of it. It's a very special part of Canadian military history. Well, last year I had it literally driving in the middle of a 3-lane road leading to a major highway. Murphy's Law. The engine stalls. Police came, tow truck comes, and the vehicle is brought back to my home and it's put into the garage. I didn't know how to maintain it or fix it. And one of my neighbors highly recommended Nick, and he told me about Nick. Now, I didn't know Nick, of course, so I did a recon. I drove here in my truck, walked into the garage. Nick was sitting at a table drinking a cup of coffee with some friends, and he stood up and he came over and welcomed me, and he asked me how could he help. And I told him my history. We served in the 1st, the 2nd Korea, myself, and now my son is serving in the Canadian Army. And I told him we had purchased this Jeep. It was new. I didn't know anything about it. And it stopped just at the entrance of a highway, which is very embarrassing.
Yes.
Yeah, Friday at 5:15. You can imagine the traffic. And Nick simply said to me, went quiet, and he said his family and Manny's family and George's family had all served in the Second World War, and that it would be an honor and a privilege to work on this Jeep. Now, for those of you who don't know Jeep, I've never been in this garage. When you walk in, the floors are spotless. I know you can't see it, but the counters behind every one of these priceless muscle cars from the 60s, spotless. All the equipment's hung up, it's all clean. Everything is labeled in its proper place. It's like being in a hospital, actually, when you come into the ER, and I'm proud of that. I went into the engine room. It's like the OR itself. These beautiful V8 engines are opened up. You can see their innards, and they're all covered with nice clean sheets so nothing contaminates them, infects them if you wish. And then the dyno room, it's like being in the post-op again, except there's no pretty nurses, of course. But they're all hooked up to these wires and computers. It's like in the OR, and everything is carefully calibrated. Nick did a diagnosis, found it was the fuel pump that was defective. We ordered one from Kaiser Willis in the States because I want it as soon as possible, of course. I wanted to enjoy the summer. It was installed. Nick found that the 2 military batteries were weak, and so we ordered 2 more. We didn't want to get a jobber. We got the original military battery, so it would be perfect.
And the fuel pump.
And the fuel pump.
It was a military use only.
Yeah, and what I liked about Nick is that he took the fuel pump that had, if you wish, passed away, died, after 71 years. I mean, think about it. This is 1952. They took it apart and they rebuilt it. They actually found 2 replacement parts.
Yes.
And they rebuilt my fuel pump.
Okay.
So I have it at home on the shelf. So I can honestly say I have the original parts of this vehicle. The original vehicle and the original fuel pump, which is kind of cool. Now, why am I here? Well, again, thanks to Nick. One of his clients reached out to me and asked me, would I be willing to participate in this year's Grand Prix of Montreal? And I said, well, yes, but how? And he said, it's the 80th anniversary of D-Day. We want to honor the men and women, well, the men and the women who worked as nurses, but we want to honor the 80th anniversary of D-Day and our losses. Well, D-Day, as you know, is the 6th of June. The Grand Prix starts on the 7th of June. And so I agreed to bring my vehicle on the 7th of June to a special exhibition here in Montreal. So my little Jeep with 60 horsepower engine.
60 horsepower.
60 horsepower will be lined up, if you wish, with close to 40 collector's cars, American muscle cars, and Italian exotics. But my little Jeep will be the first one they walk into.
Of course.
Because they want to honor our military history. Not Canadian military, the world's military history.
That's true.
All our allies, it's important. Nick was kind enough to fix it last year. He put me in touch with one of his clients. We're honoring our history now, military history. And he also called me about a month ago and he asked me to come in. He said, I want to maintain your vehicle. I want you to bring it in. We're going to go over it from A to Z so you can drive to the event
Yeah, of course.
safely,
course.
participate, and then get home again. No surprises, nothing that sort of falls apart the last minute we haven't counted on. So on behalf of this, because he's helping maintain Canadian military history, that's what's so important. So my family and I wondered, how can we thank not just Nick, but Manny, Robert, and of course you, George.
The team.
So I went back to the Royal Canadian Legion and I got myself one of the official flags. And I think it's important to honor Nick with something official. He has a lot of awards, but one of these flags is not something you can purchase, period, end of story.
You can't buy this.
No, this comes from the Royal Canadian Legion headquarters. And so I'd like to show it to you while I can.
And I do not have this flag in my shop. There you are, the Canadian Legion.
And so on behalf of my family, this is on behalf of my family and all my members who have served in so many wars, so many who did not come home, I want to present this to Nick,
Thank
to
you.
Manny, Robert, and to you, George. And of course, your family's also served in World War II.
Thank you, Paul.
And it's the best way I can think of honoring all our veterans, every one of them. And to you, Nick, for helping to maintain a piece of Canadian history.
It is my honor, Paul. I'll be more than glad to put it up in my shop, along with all the other flags. But this will be in the front of my shop.
Thank you.
And
And
I'll
you'll
be-
notice I did not write my name on it. That to me, it would be wrong. Too many boys have served in the United States, in Canada, Australia, in Europe. Putting my name on this flag would be wrong. So it honors all men and women who have served our countries. And that's why I'm here tonight, to say thank you very much on behalf of my family.
I want to thank you very much. Paul, I have to thank you, or salute you, and it's an honor.
Thank you
Thank
very,
you.
very much.
Thank you.
So.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Honors your family too.
It does.
Your,
Oh,
your,
my
your
dad-
father was in the military?
My dad was in the military. Also, as a 12-year-old, he was supporting the resistance in Greece.
I have paperwork upstairs in my office when my father was in World War II. He served with the British in the Australian Army. And it's very old paper. He got injured, but he was still in the Army. And he served in the whole World War until he came to Canada. But my father told me, you know what you see on TV today? That's nothing. When you're in the Army, you're hungry, you're cold, you're dirty, you smell, and you're tired. And there's nothing else that you want to do to get your freedom and live your life than fight a war with any country in the world. And this goes for everybody to understand that wars are just, I can't describe it. I can't describe it.
Yeah.
I wish them peace, love, and muscle cars. That's what I could say.
Yeah. Just thanks to the boys and to the girls who so proudly wear our country's uniform today. That's it.
Thank you.
Amen, brother.
Amen.
Amen.
So on behalf of my family and myself, I'd like to offer Nick, Manny, Robert, you, George, and Melissa, a very special token on behalf of our family. Like I said, this is an original flag from the Royal Canadian Legion headquarters. And I want to honor your team for taking care of this vehicle today and in the future. And since it is the 80th anniversary of D-Day, 6th of June, 1944, I want to thank all veterans from the Americans, Canadians, British, Australians, New Zealanders, the people from Sweden, around the world, New Zealand, Netherlands, of course. My wife is Dutch. They paid the price for our liberty, our freedom today. And we get to enjoy these American muscle cars. And we're very, very spoiled and very lucky to have this.
And our job here, of course, we're going to keep the Jeep running for as long as we can.
And to preserve American muscle cars.
Of course, like you see all behind us.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Lest we forget.
Lest we forget.